What's going on? Y'all thought we was done? Play my music. Yo, now who said what? Oh, that's so new. Now who said what? Them rumors true. Now who said what? Oh, that's so new. Royal Voices with the business just for you. Yeah. Now who said what? What's going on, y'all? Yeah. Actually run that shit back because why it's Royal Voices season motherfucker too. We here for the things today. Get it to it. Yeah. What's going on, y'all? My name is Josh, aka King J, and I am your host for our lovely podcast, Royal Voices Podcast. This is the official podcast of Kingdom, a creative hub for music, art, and fashion where we uplift creatives to a ton of resources, networking, and a ton of other things. So, y'all, make sure y'all tap in, okay? We are here today for season 2. This is crazy because I kid you not, I feel like I was just starting season 1 yesterday. Um, but here we are. On to bigger, better things, more things coming, and I love it. That growth, slowly but surely, Chad, slowly but surely. I got some music on the way. I got some. Oh, I ain't mentioned that yet. Kingdom Essentials is out now. Hey, Kingdom Essentials is out now. Go ahead and tap in on kingdom.com, kvngdom.com, and get your Kingdom Essentials, y'all. Dropping some things there too. We got clothes out now. Um, Started the consulting arm of things as well. And now we locking in for season 2 of the podcast, y'all. So it's so fun to see Kingdom grow. It's so crazy to me that I got all this done. So just real quick, shout out to self. King, you doing great. Continue doing those damn things, boy. Uh, so with all that being said, y'all, we have a lot on the agenda today. We talk a lot about a lot of stuff on this podcast. I ain't gonna hold you. We touch a little bit on politics, touch a little bit on creative advice, touch a little bit on recognizing people and stuff, and that would be done through our new approach to Artist Spotlight, where we'll be having interviews with creatives and business owners that come across the Kingdom feed. So make sure y'all top in and lock in during this podcast, as we will be having those interviews happening later on in the show. Yeah. So I hope y'all doing good out there. It's a lot going on, and I think with all that being said, the best topic to jump into first would be these politics. Okay, the breakfast, chat. The political space right now. Um, Let me just say this first. If y'all been tuned in, and if you are new to the podcast, you are a little late. Okay, go ahead and watch season 1 on YouTube at Royal Voices Podcast, or you can listen to us on Spotify, whichever way you choose, and catch on up, get into the mix, get into the vibe, get into the family. But I want to say about episode 5 or 6 of last season, I just stopped doing politics, right? Because it was pissing me off. Let's just be very, very transparent. It was pissing me off. The I'm not the most political person, right? I've never been. I've never been the most engaged in that space. And I think after I got to college, right, in 2016, I experienced the first Trump experience, baby. But yeah, I got to college, and that was when I started like actually paying attention. Not because it grew as an interest for me, but because I just recognized who was running. I was recognizing what I was hearing, and that kind of started from there. But I think the energy of last year for the race with Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, I felt like we all as people had a responsibility to promote education around politics, right? And specifically for my generation, recognize that we need to give a damn because now it's they looking at us to make decisions and stuff. And I noticed the campaign from last year was heavily aimed at like the early 20s to like the mid 35s, 40-year old group demographic. That was real. A lot of the marketing of things was going towards. Um, and I just knew my generation did not have a lot of understanding around it because I was learning about it at the same time. Um, I said that to say we did a lot. Okay, we did a lot as far as campaigning on both sides. We did a lot of vocalizing in podcasts and debates and TikTok live streams and Instagram lives and going to rallies and um just advocating for people to not only understand politics a little bit but understand the power and the responsibility of it all as well. Um so, with all that being said, 2025 came in swinging. And I feel like that's been a consensus since 2016, child. People just been saying, oh, the beginning of the year been going crazy every year. Yes. Yes. On January 20th, Donald J. Trump was introduced to the office, was inducted into office, and went ahead and started his rule. No pun intended. But as expected, Trump causing hell. As expected, shit hitting the fan. As expected, folks freaking out. And meanwhile, the community, right? The 80 percenters, the 92 percenters, said y'all got it. Black folks ain't freaking out. Well, let me clarify here. We concerned. We are nervous. Let's let that be clear. We are concerned, honey. But we are not going to fight the battle this time. And a lot of y'all don't like that. A lot of y'all have been yelling at black people for being quiet. We went and voted. Kamala lost. Y'all told us Trump's your daddy. Y'all told us get over it. Trump won. Y'all told us ha ha he he. Y'all told us enjoy the next 4 years. Y'all told us a lot of shit. And we got quiet. We said okay. Then them ice raids started. Then y'all recognized Trump didn't know any damn thing about the economy and how inflation works, how to lower grocery prices, how to lower gas prices. Y'all recognized he didn't know none of that shit. Y'all recognized he started bringing in people into office and into leadership positions who are highly, 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 highly underqualified. Y'all started to recognize a few months into, or a month or so into his presidency, not even, DE&I was under fire. Y'all grew to recognize DE&I did not mean black. Y'all grew to recognize y'all may have made a mistake. And y'all got mad at black people when we got quiet. Y'all told us this is not the time to sit down, this is not the time to be quiet. Y'all are upset that we were not the first responders this time. And we are not going to be fighting this battle, or at least in the way we have in the past. So, with that being said, because of that, we are now seeing an interesting shift, at least to me. We're seeing an interesting shift of how society operates, right? And how society responds when discourse is happening. I think historically, black people have always been the first people to say, "Hey, this is the problem," but also be the first ones on the battlefield. Right? We finna fight for this. We finna protest. We finna sit in. We finna boycott. We finna do this. Da, 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 da. We've always been the first ones. And what I found in that is, despite being the first ones, despite advocating for things that not only benefits our community but benefits everybody, um, we are somehow the villain and the victim at the same time. Right? When we go protest, we're considered thugs and violent and radicals. When we boycott, we're considered reckless, endangering other people's well-being. We are inconsiderate and hateful because the downfall of businesses should never be celebrated. Take the more educational route. Go to school and go for leadership positions. We are told we're underqualified. We're told we're not suited to be in spaces. We're aggressive. We're unrealistic, right? When we do nothing, we're getting yelled at to do something. We can't win for losing. We also saw this with Kamala Harris as well. She ended up losing the race. Y'all kikied and ha-ha'd. Y'all got mad at her when she got quiet after the race was done. Y'all got mad at her when she was grocery shopping with her husband. We can't win for losing. And it's not just white people saying that. It's other people too. Black people are saying these things. It's truly a battle. It's crazy. It's some crazy shit. And I've never seen this before. And now on top of that, we have a wave of MAGA supporters not recognizing they made a mistake. After them tariffs got implemented everywhere except Russia, people were as hell. People are upset. When that stock market started to crash, y'all got worried. And then he froze it and paused it for a second, the tariffs, to make sure his billionaire friends, who also hold positions in his administration, can make money. Because, when the economy goes down, things become cheap, they buy them up, and then the economy rises back up, and now they're filthy rich, like Marjorie Taylor Greene. Marjorie Taylor Greene. It's crazy because it's not hidden. It's not rock. It's not a conspiracy theory. You ain't got to go to a secret web to find information. You ain't got to say you ain't got to know a person to know a person. You can literally just turn on your TV, pick up your phone, ask ChatGPT. They're not hiding any of this. This is the most aggressive conservatist takeover I've ever seen. But I thought I had to say, y'all freaking out, and as you should. It's a lot of shit going on. We have a person saying he wants to be the king. There's a person who's been deported, who they just can't bring back, and they're a legal citizen. There's talks going on for prisons being built in El Salvador to contain U.S. citizens. Think about the things that are happening around you, right? There's layoffs happening. People are being fired from jobs because they're believed to be unqualified for a position. Y'all are recognizing the United States has always been the bad guy. That's the part that Gen Z is recognizing. That's why there's been so much effort to silence the voices, the collectiveness, the community of Gen Z, because y'all are learning things and reading into things that people did not think y'all would. And y'all are recognizing America do a lot of fuck shit. And a lot of the conveniences, the privileges we have in this country are at the cost of other countries and other people being put into harm's way, physically, mentally, financially, literally. the devices you carry, just your phones alone, the clothes you wear, the food you eat, the convenience, the little bubbles we're able to put ourselves in is a luxury of United States, which is why people try to come here so often. So with all that being said, I'm not gonna talk about the obvious, right? I don't want to relish on the obvious. We already been here for 15 minutes. I don't want to relish on the obvious. I think everybody right now is like, what do we do? Right? What do we do? I know there's some things going on trying to hold the Trump administration accountable and all this stuff, but personally, I don't understand how people are using a system that's clearly corrupt to hold a motherfucker that's been corrupt accountable with the same system. I know they're trying to impeach him. Y'all, I don't see the point. He's been impeached twice already. Now what? Now what? They're in a constitutional crisis because he's literally telling the Supreme Court, I'm not doing shit y'all say. So what do you do? Right? What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Now, this is the time we focus on the people. I know it's a lot of fear-mongering going on. They're trying to bombard y'all with information left and right, left and right. Y'all know what to focus on. First things first, unify. Unify, unify, unify. Every piece of history, every revolution, every pushback, every single thing has always come down to numbers. Unify. This is also recognized by those who try to maintain power, which is why there's so much emphasis and effort to try to keep people divided. Historically, it's been a race that's been used to keep people divided, right? This past few years, it's been gender and sexuality, right? Now, it's the money on. We are in a classist situation. Why? Because there's an oligarchy. Once billionaires entered government spaces, the saying goes, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Who didn't know that? The rich get richer, the poor get poorer. The mindset that y'all think billionaires and millionaires want to create opportunity for you to also become a millionaire and a billionaire, you're goofy. Because when you start doing that, you're not only creating a space where that money, although it's hell of it to go around, in their mind, there's a limited amount, right? I want to control this much of the market. I want to control this much of financial, stability. I want to control all of this. If it's the top 1% is controlling the financial spaces of America, why would you let anybody else in there? That's just food for thought. But like I said before, unify. There's a lot of money, time, energy, and effort that goes into keeping us divided. But when you build community, you start sharing strengths, you start leveraging networks, and you're not by yourself. So I would encourage y'all to find things that unify you with people, right? And again, this time is the focus is classes. So I would encourage y'all because there's a lot more common folk than it is billionaires. Okay? So unify. First things first, but I want to also say, to my second point, unity can only be achieved when people hold themselves accountable. Okay? Now, I've seen discourse on both sides, Democrats, Republicans, everybody, independents, all of that. I done seen bullshit come out of everybody's mouth. Republicans, Democrats, independents, all that. I done seen people talk from feelings and emotions and not facts. On both sides. I'm saying that to say that, right? So when I start holding people accountable, I want to hear in the comments, well, you are saying this because of the... No, I'm saying everybody. Everybody. I've heard representation from everybody. And folks have been talking out their ass, right? And in order to unify, you have to hold yourself accountable, but you have to also be open and willing to listen to the next person. Now, I do want to be known. Certain conversations shouldn't even be needed to have, right? When I say I love debates, I do. I love a good debate because prove me, not only prove me wrong, but prove your point. Help me understand, right? But I believe there's certain things we don't need to debate about, right? I don't believe there should ever be a stance for slavery, right? If I'm saying I don't believe there should be slavery, there's no way somebody should rebuttal and say, "Well, I do believe there should be slavery." Who? What the hell? What? What are you talking about? For and that's where I think we're hitting the wall. Okay, I want to acknowledge the Trump supporters out there. All of y'all need to not only sit with acknowledging that you voted for this man, because you did, but also get to that root of the why. What was the reason? Why did you vote for him? You know, why? And what I've been hearing in these debates from like the 20 versus 1 Republicans, Democrats, the Dean Withers, the Kirklands and all them, all the Republicans, the Democrats, and all the debates they be having. I've noticed specifically on the Republican side that a lot of MAGA supporters don't have sound reasoning as to why they voted for Trump. Y'all say it's economic policy or economic plans, but y'all don't know a policy he has or plans to implement. Y'all say it's for immigration, but you don't know what he's doing for immigration, nor what have past presidents have done for the economy or immigration. Y'all say it's for housing, which I don't know his plans around housing. Y'all are saying things, but don't know the thing that will support what you're saying, right? I can't say something like, I love Oreo ice cream. And you ask me, okay, well, when did you have Oreo ice cream? When was your first time having Oreo ice cream? And I say, I ain't never have it. What do you mean? You get what I'm, it's a contradiction. Similarly, when y'all ask the questions of like, why did you not vote for Kamala Harris? Oh, I just didn't like her. Okay, well, what did you not like about her? Well, I didn't know her. I didn't know her that much. So how do you know you didn't like her? You know what I mean? Like y'all are saying things, but your rationale doesn't exist. So when that rationale and that good judgment does not exist, we now have to dig a little bit deeper into that decision making. And that's where we start getting to, sometimes unconsciously, things that are influencing our decision making or our perception of the people around us or the world around us, right? I'm going to say it here because I'm tired of people tiptoeing around it, dancing around it. A lot of y'all have biases. Well, everybody has bias. You know, people have to put work in to actually unlearn their bias. But white people, and I'm speaking specifically to my white people, love my white brothers and sisters. To white people, this is the first time I'm recognizing, y'all are recognizing on a collective scale, that y'all got some work to do. And some of y'all have said, you know what? Hell yeah, we gotta work on this because we can't be out here just being not necessarily biased, or sometimes that's the lesser. But sometimes y'all are racist. Some of y'all have decided to say, you know, okay, I do have these biases. I do have this sense of belief of superiority or something like that. So I want to consciously work on dismantling that. You know, stop that because that's not right. Okay, some of y'all, another portion of y'all have acknowledged your biases, but don't want to say that you have those biases because of how it'll make you look. right? No one wants to be seen as racist. No one wants to be seen as homophobic. No one wants to be seen as misogynistic just because of the social climate we're in today. But the thing about Donald Trump is he emboldens that energy. He emboldens people through that hate and he amplifies it. That was his whole campaign. He really targeted ignorant white people's fears of immigrants to encourage y'all to vote for him. Simple as that. The amount of y'all that have said you're concerned with immigration, but can't even spell the word, baffles me. The amount of y'all that says you're concerned about immigration, but don't know what any president ever has done around immigration. Y'all believe the last administration just had a door open and said, "Come on in this bitch." That's how y'all are thinking about it. Because that was what was promoted to you. That was marketed to you that way. If you pull up any of the commercials and advertisements around that time of the election, the Republican side, the Trump-supported marketing materials were very doom and gloom. If you don't vote for him, you're going to be allowing all these I can't say them words on social media, but you're going to be allowing all these SAers and P3DOs and all of these criminals through your borders. You're not going to be safe. You're going to have to watch over your shoulder, hide your kids and your wife, and build a bunker. That was what the messaging to y'all were. Like I said last season, one of the funniest, it's not funny, but I just could not believe how drastic this was. The weaponization of gender during this election was wild. And the marketing y'all had around it, the commercial that was, they're not for us, they're for the they thems. It felt like I was watching GTA, Grand Theft Auto commercials. It felt like the Boondocks. It felt so Family Guy. Like, this is not real. But it was, and it was intentional because the Trump and friends knew y'all have these biases. And a lot of y'all, I'm going to just call a fish, because I was told I can't say the other version, the spade is, I was told not to say them, I don't know why. But a lot of y'all are racist. Okay? Let's just call it what it is. A lot of y'all are racist. Okay? And it's not, I'm not here to make you not be. I know that's a crazy take, right? I'm not here to make you not racist. That is a gripe y'all have to fight for yourself. That's something that y'all got to work on. That's something that you have to want to work on. But a lot of y'all, and I'm saying this to the Republicans and Democrats and the Republicans, Democrats, the Liberals, everybody. When you're arguing with people about rights and stuff like that, you're assuming they operate on your same level of morality, right? I don't know why everybody thinks we value the same things. And I can't expect people to value the same things. We should, because it's the right thing to do. But we have to recognize racism didn't go nowhere. It never stopped. And the mindset that because Barack Obama was a president, now racism just stopped, y'all have to recognize too, Barack Obama got dragged. Do you remember when that man wore a brown suit? He wore a brown suit and they wanted to hang this man for wearing a brown suit. So it never stopped. It didn't go anywhere. You know what? It never stopped. And this naiveness that is no longer a thing, no longer influencing the world we're in, is batshit to me. You cannot sit and say racism doesn't exist when the street names of our cities are of colonizers. When you have Confederate statues of slave owners in the Capitol building, schools, are named after slave owners. You get what I'm like? You never escaped it. Even in our functional systems for society, housing, neighborhoods exist the way they do because of redlining. You get what I'm saying? Gentrification, not taking that space over. Ghettos, hoods, and all that was created through redlining. Healthcare. Y'all still think people of color don't feel pain. Financials. Y'all still to this day will block people from getting loans and access to wealth. Education is literally being dismantled right now. Do you see what I'm saying? So when people say get over racism, get over slavery, we can't. It's everywhere. Now what we can do is shift our mind. We know the game, so play the game. Navigate that. And that's what people of the Black community have been doing for decades. It's not new to us. We're used to this. If you don't know your history, you bound to repeat it. We are in 2025. Think about that. We are in 2025 and y'all are still arguing about the skin color we come in. Y'all are still having to think about the safety of your family and your kids when people of color are around you. You get what I'm saying? So that unity piece cannot be reached until accountability is had. And this time, white people have to hold themselves accountable. And if you don't want to, by all means, don't. Don't. But you can't be confused when folks are upset with you because you're doing things that are detrimental to society. And a lot of y'all are freaking out now because you recognize you're not excluded from the dumb shit this administration decides to do to the country. And then lastly, white folks, again, love y'all. And I'm really talking to y'all at this point because I think this is your first time really trying to understand it. And then those POC who also voted for Trump in a variety of ways, my Hispanic brothers and sisters. Some of y'all who thought y'all was a yacht away from being Billy. I know y'all, you may be white passing, but you not white, Bookie. It breaks my heart seeing these ICE raids and people getting taken off the fucking street for just existing. Y'all are getting snatched up inside federal courthouses. People are in regular outfits, just walking up to you, is this your name, and snatching you up. It's not a ha he he because if it's happening to people, it can happen to anybody. That should be the red flag for everybody. That's concerning. There's a man right now who's not in the country. And we have the government telling us they're not bringing them back. They're telling the Supreme Court he's not coming back here. Think about that. So what I'm going to say is this. Y'all have to all get comfortable being uncomfortable. This is the first, like I said before, y'all cannot hide behind black people. Black people will not be the bodies on the front line this time. And y'all have to think, what we gonna do? Because every single time, we there. Every single time. We fight for ourselves getting beat the fuck up. We come fighting for y'all getting beat the fuck up, and then y'all make fun of us for getting beat the fuck up. The math don't math. So we're sitting this out. But be comfortable being uncomfortable. If you're going to start going to protests, recognize it's not a parade. It's not fun. It's not hee ha-has. You won't have a bounce house for your kids to go to, Susan. So keep them kids at the fucking house. When you are protesting, you are fighting for a reason. It's an outcry. It's a stance. It's a serious. This is not for Instagram. It's not a TikTok moment. It's not trendy. Being against oppression is not a fun thing. It's endangering. It's rough because there's systems going against you to keep you quiet. And for the first time in modern day I can recall, y'all have to now stand up, not just for yourself, but as a community against the faces of oppression. So, with all that being said, continue vocalizing your frustrations, continue demonstrating your distaste, your anger, your disagreement with everything that's going on. You can only do that by knowing what's going on. That's how we're going to keep the podcast segments for politics for y'all. We are. If this is going to be a space where y'all are tuning in, and this may be the only way that you're going to actually listen to something politically aligned, I will happily be reading these headlines and sharing y'all what's going on. But we have to take things serious. Be prepared. Get your water, get your solar generators, get some snacks, get some canned goods, some non-perishables, rations, first aid kits, maps. Learn how to make a garden. Be comfortable being uncomfortable. We are in a country of convenience. And for the first time in my life, those conveniences are threatened. Not because nobody's trying to be on our ass outside, but because this administration is cultivating an environment where people are no longer going to allow the United States to bully them. Canada, go crazy. China, go crazy. Europe, go crazy. Because we're all on this planet together. We're going to have disagreements, don't get me wrong. But when people are abusing powers, when people think that they're dictators, when people think that they can just do whatever the fuck they want to do, that's the problem. Because it's more than just you on this planet. It's over 8 billion people on this planet. And if you think you the only one that matter, you goofy. So continue to raise your voice, continue to stand tall, and continue to fight the good fight, y'all. And I'll be sure as episodes continue to give y'all updates here and there regarding the political space, okay? So next on the docket, we are going to be going into our creative advice. Now, I was doing this last season, but I feel like it became more of like a venting session. So I'm going to actually make this more like an advice space. My piece of advice I want to give today is be okay being the only one. Okay? So over the last few weeks, I was putting together this podcast season, right? And I'm not gonna lie, I got burnt out. I did. I've been burnt out for a good month and a half. Podcast was supposed to launch last month. But we didn't make it. But I'm saying that to say, on top of this, I have a 9 to 5, and I try to document that and showcase that throughout my TikTok series of life as a working entrepreneur, where I'm just highlighting, balancing running a business while also working a demanding 9 to 5. Now, my 9 to 5 job, I'm in a leadership role. I manage people. I'm responsible for strategies. I'm doing a lot. And I travel for that position as well. So doing things like this is somewhat challenging, and being consistent is also a challenge. And I think with newer businesses or just new endeavors, something people don't tell you, because everybody loves showing the success, the end goals, right? But nobody likes showing the journey. No one likes talking about the hardships, the hard times. I recognize that burnout, and that burnout kept me from wanting to record, from wanting to do anything oriented around my business. And I think too, what they also don't tell you about businesses when they first starting out is you may not always have the support in which you thought you would have. Right? I think we start things and people gas up the ideas we're having, the ambitions we are striving for, and just are excited that, we have something that makes us truly, truly, truly motivated to get things done. Building that community space is a challenge and it takes time. And that support system, specifically like your friends, your family, people close to you, may not always be your first supporters. And that usually gags people. That gags a lot of entrepreneurs. I would be surprised. And music artists and art, like designers and all that kind of stuff. It really shakes people. A lot of that makes people stop pursuing their visions, their goals. It makes rifts between those relationships people have because they feel like, me, you're closest to me, you should be supporting me, you should be uplifting me, da da da. Pairing that with burnout plus gaining insight and understanding, that can be crippling to a creative, to a business. So when I say you have to be comfortable being the only one, I mean that. Like I said before early in the podcast, it's so fun watching Kvngdom grow. And I think I find a pride behind it, knowing when you see King speak, when you see King write, when you see King on this camera, King did it. I am not trying to toot my own. I'm just telling y'all everything from social media, from marketing posts, from the website, from music, down to the podcast, the designs you see for our Kvngdom Essentials merchandise. Everything has been me. And I love that, but I also know at some point, and even now, it can't just be just me because you can't do everything at the same time. I find myself throughout the day on my laptop for work. Okay, then I'm over here on my laptop for my music stuff. Okay, now I'm on my iPad for designing the clothing. Okay, now I'm over here editing, and you're doing it all at the same time. That's what's leading to the burnout. So that same way that applies to me, it applies to other artists and other creatives and other business owners as well. When you are starting something, you're given the vision, right? You have the vision and you're working diligently to try to make other people see the vision you see so clearly. You're trying to make and convince other people, I'm not tripping. This shit crazy. This gonna be good. And we think because we're making a compelling sales pitch or we're explaining it down to the nitty gritty, that whoever's on the other receiving end listening to all of this are going to be like, yep, jump, okay, got to go along with it. I'm in, I'm supporting. But that's not how that works. You have this passion, this commitment to it because you see it. You have the vision. And it even may have taken you some time to get to seeing that vision. It may have taken you some time to realize I can do this. So while you're developing that, while you are understanding that, other people are hearing that, but because they don't see what you see, because they don't understand the vision, or maybe they don't see the finished success yet, that makes them, I'm gonna listen to you, but I don't know if I'm gonna support it. But I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna be here if you need me. I love you. Like I said before, everybody likes the success, right? Everybody likes the success. Do y'all think Bill Gates, when he was in colleges playing on little things and tweakers and stuff like that, he was the weirdo? He was the boy in class. I don't know what's wrong with him. Be careful. Watch him. You got to watch him. But do y'all think Bill Gates growing to own all the things he does and now has his Microsoft, do y'all think people look back and be like, damn, I remember that motherfucker from class. That's the little weird boy in the corner. Everybody likes the success, but there's not always visibility around the journey. around the struggles, the hardships, the downfalls, when it's just you. And like I said before, building community takes time. When you are in a community, you have to be okay being the only resident in that community. You're the biggest advocator. You're the hardest worker. You're doing the marketing. You're doing the hard manual labor, the physical labor. You're the one using your gas. You're the one using your money. You're the one using your time. And in the beginning, that can, depending on who you are, that can impact you in a variety of ways. But what that does for that community, it forms the community one. That consistency drives understanding of what you're going to deliver. They know what to expect. And the diligence creates the quality, the uniqueness of what it is you're doing. So being comfortable being not only one, you have to be your biggest cheerleader, you have to be your hardest critic, and you have to be the visionary. But that vision got to sustain you. It got to sustain you them moments when your pocket's empty, you can't put nothing into that craft, into that business, into that endeavor. It got to sustain you where you got to pick and choose. Should I keep this going? Should I not? It got to sustain you when people around you are laughing. It has to sustain you when people are telling you give up. Don't do that. You have to have that vision when people are telling you, I tried to do what you was doing, but it didn't work for me. So I would encourage you not to do that either. Right? You have to be that person. People will sometimes place their own doubts, their own insecurities, their own worries onto you. Because they didn't have the path, they didn't have the experience, they didn't have the success in which they wanted. So now they're thinking that ceiling can't be broken because they couldn't do it. So when I say from all my creatives and all my business owners, be comfortable being the only one. And when God gives you the vision, you, he ain't give it to your friends, he ain't give it to your mama, he ain't give it to your cousin. He gave it to you and said run and watch your community go from just you to 5 people, to 10 people, to 100 people, to 1,000, to 10,000, to 1,000,000. It only starts with you. And the minute you stop, the minute you tell yourself you can't, it's already done because you said you can't. So keep going. Fuck all them haters. Get money. And this will conclude our creative advice for this episode, okay? What's going on, y'all? It is your boy KVNGJAY, and we are here today for our artist spotlight, y'all. Yeah. So, first things first, I want to introduce our guest for the show today. This is the owner and CEO of MCT Visions, my fraternity brother. I want to introduce Michael Thompson. Welcome to the studio today, Mike.
Happy to be here. I appreciate you having me on the show. It really does mean a lot to talk about my business and things like that.
Now, you've been doing this for a little bit, so we got a few questions on the docket today. So first things first, I think just to make sure the people know who you are, what you do, what it is, what's going on, could you let us know not only who you are, what it is that you do within MCT Visions, but what sparked the creation of this media production space?
My name is Michael Thompson. I'm the CEO and founder of MCT Visions Entertainment. It's a film production company that's based in Madison, Wisconsin. This is the 5th year. I started it in March of 2020. It actually started off as just performing videography services, but I quickly turned it into a film production company. A little bit about me: I have a performance background, acting background. I've always wanted to. I've always aspired to be in films ever since I was a kid, and my first opportunity to get into it was in theater. I loved it ever since. Fast forward, it's been it's one of it. It was one of those situations where, of course, I joined my fraternity and I did some services for them. I guess was services because I didn't have an organization yet. But I realized that I really loved the work that I did. After working on their promo videos in college, I graduated shortly after, and one of our other frat brothers, he goes by Devontae Leggett. He reached out to me to say, "Oh yeah, this like I think like we got this new member who's about to come out, and I think I really think you would be best to create a video for him, a promo video." And ever since then, I just started to realize, like, man, this is something I really love to do. And my wife, she suggested, like, why not make a business out of it? So after I created that very first video, I decided to create it as a business and put that video, that first video, to that business platform.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where it came about.
Yeah, and I gotta shut that out because again, your content been going crazy from the start. So I want to say, well, I want to ask a bit more. So you kind of talked a little bit about that journey, right, of going from just kind of playing around, doing a couple of things that you were really just interested in, into making it an actual business front. Was creating films, or short form content, or anything like that? Was that always the goal, or did this vision evolve into that over time as you kind of built onto it?
Right. So when it came to creating the business, putting the business together, my goal was to always make films. Ultimately, make films. That is literally the main thing. The videography services is more of like a byproduct of what I do. Um, yeah, as I mentioned before, my passion is for acting, and that turned into creating films, creating an opportunity for myself and even other people who aspire to do this type of thing uh, to, uh, to 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 have a platform in which they can do it.
I love that. I really, really
Yeah.
think that the vision behind MCT is so cool, and it really resonates with the branding and the purpose of Kingdom as well. So I know I keep saying MCT, so people are probably wondering, what does MCT stand for, and what does that mean to you personally?
Absolutely, and I'm glad you asked that because I was definitely going to mention that too. So a lot of people for some reason think that MCT stands for my initials. Uh, they do not. They do not. It stands for Mission of Creative Transcendence. So the purpose of that title was to strive for innovation. So we're on a mission, uh, creating films, content that transcends what's already out there. So the purpose of my organization is to strive for innovation. As my organization grows, I want to have people on my team who are innovators, who are leaders, um, and can be very creative while engaging with the future audiences. One thing I will say is that it does come from my initials initially, um, and the reason why we have that as my initials is to represent that I am the original founder of it. But I cannot stress it enough. My initials are not, and is not what MCT stands for.
Within that, now, like I said, Joe, I've been tapped in with Mike for quite some time. Actually, the first instance I got engaged in the MCT space was by accident. We came to our collegiate chapter to go help some undergrad stuff when it comes to our fraternity, and I get a text on the like, as soon as I get back in the car from Mike, like, asking like, "Hey, you want to be in a quick little video right quick?" Now I was like, "Sure," because why not?
Yeah, yeah.
So we went ahead and made a YouTube video titled Bro Code. And then what we did not think about at that time, what none of us were really thinking about at that time, was how that start would transcend into a full feature length film, a full movie length situation. So your first film, which was Bro Code, Friendship and Betrayal, what would you say inspired the concept behind that? And I guess as we watch back the movie, because y'all, it's crazy, and again, it'll be near y'all soon, so stay tuned for that. But What do you think your message you were trying to leave with the audience was?
It's funny because the reason why that little segment or script even began is because of the fact that my fraternity brothers, when they first joined, they wanted to do a stroll video. So I'm like, cool, this is perfect. I got all my lights, I got my equipment. Like we gonna make some stuff happen. I I come up there and I'm like, I had to put on like pro fight hat. Like, yeah, y'all not ready. There's no way I'm putting y'all on a video and y'all gonna embarrass yourselves.
Right.
So instead, they just had a stroll practice, stroll step practice, and I'm like, man, I didn't brought this equipment for nothing. These guys ain't ready. So I just said, you know what? Let me just think of some sort of drama. Like what's gonna get people off their feet? Oh yeah, somebody messing with somebody else's girl. Let me just write something down real quick. And then right after, I was like, hey, I got all this equipment here. Y'all want to be in a skit? and yeah, two of my frat brothers, they was like, cool. And so we started filming at one of their houses, and that's when you, Josh, that's when you came in. They invited you over. And I was like, cool, we can use this third person too. And that's how he got dragged up into it. That's how he got dragged up into it. So it's like I just find that like really hilarious, like how the whole thing started. I of course I wanted to build more onto it. And I wanted to, and I was just thinking about how like how could I tie that into something that I probably may have experienced or anything like that. So I actually tied it to there's a friend of mine, his name is Antoine Johnson. Well, his name was Antoine Johnson because he passed back in 2016. So literally one of my best friends, inspiration for one of the lead characters, and he was dealing with a lot of mental health issues before he passed. And when he, before he passed, I know it was one of my other best friends. He was saying, "Man, there's just some things going on with him. Like he ain't talking. Like what's going on? What's going on with you, man? Like." And he's just not like opening up, but he's also trying to figure out like, hey, what's going on with y'all, and trying to make sure that we were all good. So the inspiration behind the movie was, mental health, because he had a lot of things that he was fighting internally. And if you look at it from the perspective of the movie, there wasn't a lot that you could like. So the one of the main characters who actually you played was his name was Austin Johnson. So Antoine Austin is kind of where I got the name from. So or AJ, and there was still a lot that you didn't know about this particular character in his specific issues intentionally. It was still a mystery to me. Like, why was he, going through what he was going through? How, like, I wish I would have been there. So, yeah, it just really created this big thing for me, and it inspired me to really, make a movie based off of of his life from my perspective, because we were very close. It's funny because I remember at his funeral, which I really didn't want to go to, his cousin, she convinced me to go. One of my other good friends from high school convinced me to go because I really did not want to see like my dead friend, in a box like that. That's just not something that sat right with me.
Right.
But I still went, and then I had a conversation with a good friend of mine. And he was like, I was like, you know what? His story needs to be told in some sort of way. So I took this actual like true story, and I also took a little bit of drama from that skit and really put together an actual movie. You'll see it on YouTube. That's Bro Code Friendship and Betrayal, the skit, and the actual and Bro Code Friendship and Betrayal, the actual movie, the feature length. That is in the works of being put out there to film festivals, as well as looking to put that out there to streaming platforms. So MCT Visions Entertainment, we're in the process of going through those type of works. I know life has been lifing, so and right now I'm a one band operation. It was already a lot to put that movie together from the behind the scenes standpoints by myself. Now that I got a lot more time on my hands, my focus is going to be a lot more on getting those out to streaming platforms. So I will continue to keep people updated. You just got to follow my pages and subscribe to my channel on YouTube, and there'll definitely be more updates on that.
Two things you have to touch on before we even move forward. First, to echo that sentiment of kind of creating a film around your friendship. When we were recording that movie, mind you, we were like 2-3 scenes in, right? So not an actor by any means, but this is my first time being in that actor space outside of just doing YouTube stuff. And yo, I kid you not, we're doing one of the scenes, and Mike just comes up to me, and we're just talking, about the camera or angles and stuff like that, lines. And out of nowhere, he's like, "Oh yeah, this film is based on my friend, right?" And I'm like, "No, explain more." He just told me that story about Antoine, and when he first told me, I'm like, "Okay, so whose character is Antoine?" And I'm like thinking through the names. I'm like, AJ, am I playing your friend? And he's like, "Yes." And I'm like, "Wow, that's crazy." But you mentioned as the script was being written, kind of like this place where we felt there were gaps and stuff like that. But I think you just kind of hit it on the head for me. You were saying those are kind of pieces you didn't fully know about because there were just pieces of his life and of his story you were unaware of. So I never even thought about you navigating trying to create this film around a person who you knew so well, but you did not know everything, and you had to kind of like fill those things in with what made sense. So I really want to commend you for that. And again, shout out to you because it's friends like you that carry those stories and those legacies forward. So I know Antoine's smiling and is really, really appreciative of capturing that story so well. Second thing I want to say is you touched on actually a key topic of one of the episodes for Royal Voices. I talked about being the only one, right? And being okay being the only one. When you're starting your business, when you're starting a brand, or you're on that creative endeavor, you may not have a team around you, you may not have a support system around you, you may not, have that community you're looking for. So you have to be the advocate, the hardest worker, the biggest critic. You have to be all of that. So within your approach into MCT Visions, how have you balanced? Because you also have your 9 to 5 as well, and you're in a pretty demanding role too. So
Yeah.
and you have a wife, and you're doing so many things. So how are you sustaining being the only one in that space when it comes to MCT Visions, or at least seeing the vision of MCT Vision the way that you do?
That's a real good question. I just you gotta love what you do. You gotta have the drive because nobody is gonna tell you, hey, you need to get on this. You need to make sure that you are doing this, and nobody's gonna just come to your door saying, hey, I want to be able to help without you putting anything out there. I knew from the very beginning that hey, I was gonna do this by myself. Now from the very beginning, I did not know how strenuous it would be to put together a film. Um, so it was definitely new in my eyes. It was I didn't realize how long it would take to film because the very first day of us filming Broco, I said, "Oh yeah, we gonna do these 2 scenes." Yeah. I didn't realize that, man. It took like 4 hours to do just one scene. Like yeah. and we still didn't get everything. We had to go back and redo certain parts of the scene. So it was one of those situations where I realized this is going to be a lot more work than I thought. But I still continue to push because I know at the end of the day, eventually I want to be able to run an empire here. So similar like what Tyler Perry Studios does. I want to be able to have something like that here in Madison. I'm not striving to be like Tyler Perry or anything like that. I'm just saying he's an inspiration behind wanting to be out there and giving black voices an opportunity to really be voice themselves and doing it through their stories. So yeah, it's definitely one of those things that it just means the world to me, and because of that, I have to have a drive. How I balance it all, I mentioned earlier, life be life, and sometimes I didn't always have the demanding 9 to 5 that I have, so that's a little bit more recent. But I have had um, particular jobs where I had to balance all of that, and some jobs I really didn't. I some jobs I really didn't they weren't nearly as demanding, so I was able to put more emphasis on my business while working in those specific jobs. I did a lot of planning, like while working at the Princeton Club, sitting at the front desk when I was there for a short period of time, when I was even in between jobs. So I'm just like, I had to do that for my next film, or my next film that came after, which was Vampire. And I'm over here creating storyboards, trying to develop the script, seeing that stuff takes a lot. And I didn't do any of that for Broco, by the way. I kind of just went in and winged it, like this amateur filmmaker, just going in, not knowing exactly what he's doing, and having to balance all of that stuff out. It just became a lot, but you become good at it later on. Like your skills start to develop in balancing all of that stuff. And sometimes when life does happen, you may just need to take a back seat, and that's what I've done sometimes. I've taken a back seat to what I need to do, especially since at this moment I'm a one-man band. But I never fully let go of what I was doing. I was always practicing. I was always, reading up on things, watching videos. I asked my wife, I said, hey, can I film you making a glass of Crystal Light? And she's like, what the heck are you talking about? Why would anybody want to watch that?
Right.
And when I actually put together a video of her actually doing it, she was like, oh, okay, now I can see it. Because, those are things that I've learned and I've continued to practice on while I was balancing everything out, even if I was kind of in idle mode before my next project.
Oh, I love that. And I think the biggest thing you touched on is kind of building that legacy, right? Making that continuation, especially when you, as everybody does, experience burnout and you got to, take a second to recharge, but you still want to be in that loop. So clap it up for that.
Yes.
For sure. It's a commitment for sure. Now you touched on this a little bit, but you just wrapped up your latest project titled Vampire. We had a chance to recently see that, y'all. It was great. And I think for me, like I told you during the premiere, was to see the growth from Bro Code to Vampire. But not just that. I think just the approach you had in Vampire, the cinematography around the project itself, the way it was so well captured. And I believe one of the brothers in the room, shout out Cheddar, I think was an individual during the panel that y'all were having that stated, you capture melanin so well. And it reminded me a lot of like Moonlight, of how you were really capturing a lot of that stuff. So that was just how I viewed some of that progression. But in comparison to Bro Code and to Vampire, what is something that you felt you did differently in Vampire about creating that project that was different than Bro Code? And I know you touched a little bit on the storyboard and things of that nature, but what was something that you were really excited about doing in Vampire that you didn't do before?
One of the things was the storyboard, because with Bro Code, I kind of just said I'll just figure out how it'll look when I film, which is, I realize, is not ideal, because you want to be able to have some sort of direction. I didn't have as much direction when I was filming Bro Code because of that. So I wanted to be a lot more intentional when putting together Vampire and knowing, okay, what shots am I actually going to go for? For those who don't know, a storyboard is basically, it's like a variety of different pictures, like that would represent the still images that would be shown in a movie. So, for example, if there's a scene, every single shot that you see, that wasn't just by accident. It was carefully planned. It was carefully put together. Lighting, all of that was put into consideration, and it's usually done by a storyboard. So I was able to come in better prepared for that. And two, one of the things that I realized that I did not have was I didn't have the best lighting for Bro Code like I would have wanted to. It was decent, and it got the job done, but there are certain things that I felt like I could have conveyed even more if I would have had different types of light placement. So I put a lot more emphasis on lighting. It was very important for me to be able to convey and tell a story. And it's definitely different for horror films. I'm going from a drama to a horror. Now, they do have some similarities,
Mm-hmm.
But the lighting definitely can shift the mood. That's exactly what I did when I created Vampire. It was definitely an experience to have, and I had a lot more fun. But I also realized it took a lot more time to put everything together. Also, just composition, like camera angles, camera movements, composition, things like that.
Oh, I love that, and the attention to detail. Like I can hear it in your response, like the focus and the intentionality you had behind every single decision made when it comes to the not only the final product, but like even capturing those things as well. And y'all, just a little bit of tidbit. The reason why I put lighting and stuff together now is because of Mike. I was notorious for just having a ring light and calling it a day. But when you have that backlight, you recognize you have undertones. I'm a very red boy. I don't know what it is, but I got red undertones. So, sometimes I can come out flushed out, but also thinking about color grading and stuff when we're editing and all of that, all plays a role in that final product. So speaking of kind of that director side, you also recently featured in a faith-based film as one of the actors. Um, and I think it's always crazy when people are in multiple areas of their creative space, right? So like people who can write the music but can also produce the beat, but can also arrange the melody. Same thing with producers and directors who can, have that director eye, make sure things look right, but like you mentioned, Tyler Perry can be in the movie and not just be in the movie, but play like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 characters at the same time while directing and producing that movie. So for
Yep.
you, is it a hard thing to kind of flip that switch on and off? Because you mentioned having a theater background. Is it hard to kind of go from, okay, I'm producing this movie, I'm directing this movie, to, okay, I'm an actor, so I can't direct the movie, I can't talk about everything, but is it a hard shift to make when you're in those different spaces?
Um, it was, yeah. I will be honest. It was definitely difficult. Um,
Mm-hmm.
as a producer myself to kind of switch to just the acting, but I was able to do it. One thing I know and understand, I should say, is that I have to trust the producers of this film, and this is their work. And I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
tell them how they can and can't do their work. I can only
Yeah.
just critique once I see it put together.
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those situations where no matter if I see something, I'm like, I don't know, man, the composition might be off, or the lighting might not be good, or I don't know about that location. I It's one of those situations where I'm like, I need to just keep my mouth shut and allow them to work, because at the end of the day, I'm not a I'm not a producer here. I'm just acting. I put my focus only on bringing the character to life based off of what's written in the script. It was also pretty cool to know or see how another director slash producer does it. And he actually had an entire team too. So
Mm-hmm.
he had people, doing roles that, I'm doing um all by myself. But he
Mm-hmm.
had different people doing those performing those different roles.
Right.
And of course, I'm striving to get to that point. He's been doing it for about 14 years. Actually, the name of the person I'm referring to is Raphael Ragland.
Mm-hmm.
And the name of his film production company is So Grateful Films. He's worked with people like Tyler Perry, Spike Lee, things like that. So he has that experience of being within the world of production. He has this a faith based film as well. It's called The Voice of the Comforter. That was the one that I starred in. When it came down to what I did, I put Vampire on another pause, just to just to work on his film, because personally I felt that that was a place where God was calling me at the time. That's why I was so invested in helping him put his film together.
You've mentioned so much about uplifting other people, and that's just first and foremost. That's a I think in this creative space, a lot of people butt heads, right? Because we're doing similar things. Everybody think they the top of Dundada. They the best film. They're the best director. They're the best songwriter. They're the best rapper. They're the best fashion designer. It's very easy to fall into this space of competition. But you talked about not only being in a space of like humility learning, if you know, you know, kind of learning from people who've been, you know, who are doing the things you want to do or you aspire to kind of achieve in the future, but also still confident in what you do, who you are, and how you operate in your own space. So just want to commend that because a lot of creators, business owners don't have that skill and think there's only so much room to go around when in reality there's enough room for everybody to eat. Within all of that, um, again, you're kind of learning from other people. You're kind of learning in that space on your own. What would you say was the, I guess, biggest thing you've learned thus far while managing, operating, building MCT Visions?
First of all, I do want to kind of piggyback on that comment before I answer the question that you mentioned about collaborating. You're absolutely right, especially um, when it comes to Black folks in, you know, like more of the Midwest, Wisconsin. Um, like it always seems like there's a competition, and it doesn't really have to be. There's plenty of food for everybody to eat out here. One of the things that I love about what we do with this industry is that within this industry is that you have to collaborate. You know, a lot of great movies that are put out there they're not just put out there by one film production company. They're put out there by multiple. You'll see that at the very beginning of the movies. It'll say this production, this production, and that's what makes the films as great as they are. So lots of times you gotta, you know, even when you have your own stuff, you gotta learn to, you gotta be humble. Um, there, if I'm working with somebody who I'm like, man, I feel like I could do this better, or you know, I gotta be humble and be like, okay, well, let them work on, trust that they're gonna do their part, and
Mm-hmm.
if they ask you for something, then you know, then do that. Um, and vice versa. I'm pretty sure people will look at my work and say, man, like I wouldn't have been able to work under you because I feel like you wouldn't have been good enough for something. I don't know. Or I feel like I can do it better. Well, if you
Yeah,
can, then you go pick up a camera, you get some lighting, you try it. I mean,
I know that's
be better than me. You know, that's fine. But at the end of the day, the best work that's going to be put out there to the world is going to be the work that's done using a collaborative effort with other people and other film production companies.
yes.
One of the biggest things that I learned is, you know, to it's really just about learning to be patient. There's still a lot more that I'm in the process of learning, and that's one thing that I've learned is that this is a never ending learning. This is a never ending training. You're always going to be continuously learning new things. You're never going to get to the point where you have learned everything that you can learn, especially because technology is growing, technology is changing. They're involving AI in a lot of things. I know personally, if I did some hard work and somebody said, "Yeah, what AI program did you use?" I'll probably be a little offended because not everybody does things with AI.
Yeah.
But I do have to understand that in today's world, AI is very prevalent in a lot that we do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but we're still also in a world where we don't necessarily need to have AI.
Mm-hmm.
But it can be used to make things better for us.
Yeah, and I gotta echo that AI in the words of Kiki Palmer. It's a little spooky oogie. And I think in the creative space, that AI conversation. I've been to a few conferences where that's come up. I've done sat in a few, Apple sessions as they and JBL and Beats by Dre and stuff like that, where they are shown, you know, their new features and new capabilities that you ain't got to really think about doing no more. It just automated for you. So it is definitely causing a stir in that space and bringing concern of authenticity, of, you know, that quality. Because again, AI can maybe do it in 5-10 seconds, but when a person is doing it, this is time. So it's definitely helpful. And I think people should rely on it in a sense of assisting, but not in a sense of doing it for you or thinking of, okay, this can replace this, because that to me just it's not weird, but it's very, it feel a little insulting to, you know, those creators and to those artists and to those directors and musicians. It's a little insulting when you put in a few notes and this AI just made a song or just made a movie or just made a Picasso piece. Like it's a little crazy.
Is definitely one of them. Another one of those things that I had to learn um myself is to I had to learn that AI is going to be there to help, but just don't take advantage um of it and try to call the work your work. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I definitely think the back and forth right now legally has been with like the ownership of AI created things. Which is another reason why I'm telling creators don't be using AI to make your stuff because it could become a day where there's a law passed if you have been using those things or some kind of algorithm that can, track how these things are created that will impact you in the future. So like he said, I think enhancements, like I love ChatGPT. And I use that to say, okay, I need help tweaking these notes for this episode, or I need help tweaking this timeline for release dates, stuff like that. Again, treating it like an assistant in that sense. Now I know we've been going on for a little bit, and I would love to have you here all day. But I have two more questions for you. The first
Okay.
one, um, where can people support you? Watch your projects, keep up with you. What's next? Kind of what you're planning in that space. And how can people uplift MCT visions and continuing to support the things that you're doing?
Absolutely. So to answer the first question, just follow my page on so Instagram. It's at MCT underscore visions underscore ENT. You can also follow me on Facebook at MCT Visions, as well as subscribe to my YouTube channel, MCT Visions Entertainment. Those are platforms to help grow the following. The business is still fairly new, even though it's 5 years old. It's still fairly new, so I'm still looking to grow my followers there. How you can help support? I offer videography services. It'll really help for anybody to take advantage of those. Because that money that is being made is actually going back into the business to fund these projects that will provide opportunities for Black and brown folks within the community.
And again, that upliftment is always in your responses. So, like we say
Yep.
all the time, y'all continue to uplift these brands in these spaces that come across Artist Spotlight because, again, what you're seeing now in the next 10, 20, tomorrow could be the Nikes, could be the Sonys, could be the Summer Walkers, the Drakes, all the big, 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 big folks started somewhere. So I think, lastly, with that being said, are there any final words or pieces of advice that you would give to creatives or even to other individuals who may aspire to be in acting or producing or directing, or just simply in that creative environment? Any advice that you would give them?
If you're someone who wants to be a director or producer, um, just do it. You have a phone. There's your camera right there.
Hello.
You may not have lights, but you can always get some cheap lights if you wanted to. But at least start out with your phone. Take the time to learn, and then also connect with other people. There are film festivals that you can go to. You'll automatically connect with other people. Um, and there are also spaces for film communities online on Facebook. I'm a part of a few. That's another way of being able to connect with people. They have projects, they need some additional hands, or if they want to collaborate, that's an opportunity to collaborate. The same when it comes to if you want to act, there's look for those opportunities to connect with people, meet with people, build your acting resume. There's an actress of mine who she asked me a few times, hey, uh, can I borrow this particular clip with me in it so I can be able to use it as my auditions and showcase to a director? And I said absolutely, because that director is gonna like could like her work and say, hey, I have an even better part for you. You know,
Yeah.
she may find paid work that way, and you never know what connections you're gonna make out of it.
Mm. Keyword connections, y'all. I'm very, very big on networking. And again, that reign forever legacy of Kingdom, y'all can clearly see is present within MCT, and y'all see what I'm talking about when I say reign forever. So, with all that being said, thank you, thank you, thank you today to Brother Michael Thompson from MCT Visions.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I really appreciate being on the show. It does mean a lot to be able to get some recognition for the work that I do. I really appreciate you providing this platform for me and other creators that you meet as well.
Of course, of course. That's what we're here to do is uplift and bring that traffic that way. So with all that being
Yes.
said, y'all enjoy the rest of the episode and we're gonna be right back to Royal Voices. Thank y'all for tuning in to today's episode of Royal Voices Motherfucking Podcast Season 2. I am so excited and happy to be back in the moving groove of things, y'all. I just, it's just, I love it. So, with all that being said, I want to list a few things for season 2. Accountability purposes, okay? We gonna have 2 episodes per month premiering every other Wednesday. Every other Wednesday, okay? And again, we'll be having these dialogues and discussions and interviews as well every other Wednesday. So make sure you tap in and follow us on YouTube at Royal Voices Podcast, all one word, as well as social media. Spotify, to make sure that you're tapped in, locked in with all of the things going on. On top of that, I do want to make sure I acknowledge Kingdom Essentials is out now. Okay? Go ahead and get your merchandise and your drip for the kingdom. You know what I'm saying? We'll be adding more things to the store as well. And in the future, we're going to be dropping the thing that'll be a bit more custom, okay, to the pieces and things that I attune to in my personal fashion daily life. So again, tap in with that, make some purchases, support the kid. I also hope, as we're talking about support, that y'all enjoyed Artist Spotlight. So, as I mentioned before, Artist Spotlight, we're going to be having those interviews, child, and I'm hoping that y'all really, really do not only engage in the space, but that y'all support those creatives and those brands. We have to say in this digital age that we're in, that success can be hit a lot faster than prior generations, okay? So support, uplift. The power is with y'all. Y'all can make and break the people. People be saying cancel culture ain't real. Yes, the hell it is. Yes, the hell it absolutely is. Y'all have to say. And then lastly, follow us and keep up with the kid on our social media. So you follow the brand at KVNGDOM.co on Instagram and TikTok. You can follow the podcast on social medias as well at Royal Voices Podcast, all one word. And follow the kid on Instagram at _JAYTHEDON_. And the link tree in my bio will have all the other links to my other platform that I be on as well. Thank y'all for tuning in on today. And remember, we reign forever. Have a good one.